She might have seen something.
You know how many cartels operate in South Florida?
I need a new identity.
Why?
12 men killed my family, and I'm gonna find them. And I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
Hi, I'm Patrick Gibbs with SLUG magazine. That stands for Salt Lake Underground. We have met before at Sundance in January. I interviewed you for Hachan Shake Your Booty.
Let's see you again.
That was a great film, and you were terrific in it. So
Thank
this
you.
this is a bit different. There's the old saying, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Fadir was definitely a lover,
Yeah.
but Elias is definitely a fighter and a killer. Which one's harder to play?
Harder. No, I think, yeah, it would have to be Elias, because at the end of the day, you go home with a little bit of the bitterness that you find in that role, even though you try to detach yourself as much as you want from it, but the energy is still there, right? And with Fadir, it was all joy. It was dancing. It was love. It was polyamorous love, by the way. It was, with Elias, it's not. There's a certain energy and a very dark place that you try to achieve while you're portraying a guy like Elias.
How did you go there to that dark place? He is a very dark, intense, and intimidating character. How did you go there with that character?
Gladly, that's how I go. I love it. Part of the reason of why I'm an actor and why I do what I do is because I'm not particularly fond of people, but I love humanity. And I think the dark side of the human being is as important as the bright side. And I'm not talking about what you read on a magazine or the newspaper that someone did. I'm talking about the whole thing. Where does it come from? What develops it? What makes a person become who they are? That's part of what I love. And I mean, I do think that we all as a society have sort of like a handbrake where, there are certain limits of what you are willing to do. But what happens when someone doesn't know those limits? It's not that they don't care, it's that they feel very different from what you feel about those limits. That's the part that I'm interested in, And I love to dig into the dark side. I have had my share of dark side in my own life, and I think we all had, and I think we all cherish to see it also in a character, in a fiction, in a show.
On the subject of the bright side of humanity, when I think of the bright side of humanity, a name that comes to mind, Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
He has been one of my idols for a long time, and I got to speak to him briefly years ago. What was your experience working with him?
It was exactly that, man. It was like working with an idol. It was working with someone that that I would have probably not be standing right where I was if it was not for people like him. He opened those gates for us. He paved the way, and even though he's a legend and he has done it all, he still arrives on set with a big smile and a hug, and he has kind words, and you have fun with him, and you can see him crying, and at the moment the yell cut, he's laughing at you for crying as well. He's busting your ass on set. It was beautiful seeing someone that has achieved so much still enjoy the job as a little kid. It tells you a lot about what we do.
What's the most fun part of playing a villain?
There are no limits to it. You don't need to excuse yourself as a character or as an actor for whatever you do. There are definitely limits to what you do to your peers, to your actor peers, and there are limits to what how you tell a story that is not actually true. It's a movie or a show, but there are no limits whether how twisted you can get inside of your head, you realize that we are capable of going that deep.
Tell me a little bit about the genesis of this project and the story.
Patrick, I'm fortunate that I get to write whatever I want. What I wanted to do was just invent a character out of whole cloth, start that character at the lowest possible moment in her life, and over the course of multiple seasons, restore the power that she lacks at the end of the first episode and see a transformation in that character. And in the process of that, surround her with violence, criminality, as well as friends, love, and hope. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And then once you have an idea like that, then you just kind of reverse engineer and think, okay, what's her family situation like? What's everything else like? Where can I put her? And you just chop away at it a little bit at a time.
Karen, what appealed to you about this project?
Well, aside from this pilot Bill wrote being an absolute page turner, Patrick, I devoured it and was immediately in, because what I wanted to explore was, how does this 21-year-old young woman who's got nothing more than wit, grit, determination, and high intelligence avenge her family in a really compelling and yet grounded way? Because she's not a man with a special set of skills. She's not a character with any kind of black ops training. And as she's pursuing this dark agenda in a way that's compelling and grounded, she winds up inadvertently building her found family along the way. And so not only investing in Etta, but investing in these interpersonal relationships and dynamics that she engenders with characters like Lovely and Stanley.
Thank you very much. So as a screenwriter myself, a lesson that I learned a long time ago is never tell the audience you've got a smart character unless you're going to show them that that character is smart or skilled. And I see that a lot with Dani. We see lots of examples of her intelligence and her observational skill. A character like that can be both challenging and fun to write. I think, what was your experience with that, Bill?
Mine was that it was fun to write. I've written scripts in the past, Patrick, where you think, gosh, the last time I'm doing this. But it was fun to write at it. It was fun to find that character and then put her in a family where for the first half you think, man, this is a normal, hard-working group of people. And then subvert expectations. They are, in fact, that, but the work that they're doing is they're running drugs, right? So writing a character, you're right. You can tell the audience that your character's smart through dialogue or just simply coming on set, but then that becomes expository and tiresome, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can show that, then I think the audience is with you.
Thank you. What is the biggest difference for you in approaching television as opposed to film?
That's an excellent question. Television's easier. You got 50 pages, sometimes less, right? So right there, I don't have to think about what my act two is, what's my midpoint, what's my midpoint turn, what's my character's lowest point in the end of the second act, right? And how am I going to wrap this sucker up? I don't think of that. Writing a television pilot is, it can be really fun. That's why I like the pilot. The pilot's always the flashiest. Pilot in many ways is the easiest because you're coming up with an origin story. Your pilot is the first act of your feature film, right? And let's face it, the first act of a feature film, that's the funnest, easiest, most enjoyable act to write. That's what a television pilot is. So that's the difference.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, I think revenge stories can be tricky because revenge is not necessarily the most noble of pursuits, but it can be a very compelling one. But you have to really sell us on the idea that your protagonist really deserves to win and get us rooting for them. Karen, can you tell me a little bit about the approach to that?
Patrick, it's all about the character. It really is. Because you got to invest in Etta and all of our incredibly compelling and complicated characters when it comes to television. Because to your point, if she's just this automaton who just wants to go and kill a bunch of guys, that is not as compelling as telling a story where as she pursues her dark agenda, she's inadvertently building a found family along the way and really having fully formed characters across the board of our show for audiences to invest in. And, the aim is always to entertain and to move and to leave people wanting more. So you absolutely have to build in twists and turns and thrilling sequences. But at the end of the day, it's character-driven storytelling that gets viewers to invest in television format stories.
Thank you so much.